Welcome to today's book review of, it's a shiny book, it's gonna be a hard one to not shine in the camera. The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. It's hard to even see it, because if I do, shiny. God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. Yeah, why did I read this book? I read this book because as someone who goes to church, well, it's really shiny. See, it's a hard one to do, isn't it? Sort of, better. As someone who goes to church, as someone who has gone to church for a long time, who grew up in the church, I try to live my life very much by, not just because I'm in church, but I try to live my life by the quote. I don't know where it came from, but I'm going to put down how I wrote it in my notes. If you can't intelligently argue both sides of an issue, you don't understand your position. So with that in mind, I came across The God Delusion at the Bookman, great local bookstore to me, and it was just a good book. I thought it would be a good one for me to read, for me to reckon with, for me to integrate, to look at really hard in my own faith practice and see where it stands and what changes I need to make. So on that note, buckle up. We're going to do a review of the book that I just blanked on the name of. All right, so The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. Let's start off by using, Dawkins doesn't even like this word religion, and define the religion, air quotes, that he would say he ascribes to. So I'm going to read this so I get it accurately. He says that his religion, he's not even comfortable with it, page 40, but if he's talking about the awe of the forces behind the way things work, then that we cannot yet grasp, that's his religion. Just awe at the universe. And I got to say, who doesn't, you go out to see the Northern Lights for the first time really strongly when you're far enough north in Canada away from light pollution, wow. Sitting up at Chilliwack Lake around here and seeing just the stars, because you're away from a little bit of light pollution. There's still lots there, actually, because we're not that far away from the cities. But still, seeing the stars that you get there, it's just amazing. And the awe, that's what he would say is his religion. Although he hates the word because it's got too many spiritual connotations because of mainly Christianity, at least in North America. So as he looks at religion, one of the first things that stuck out to me is that religion gets undeserved respect. So religion is a theory. I believe the world works in this way, and here's my theory. And because of the history of religions in general, religion, specifically Christianity in North America, it gets a pass. Whereas other hypotheses, other ideas have to prove themselves, religion gets it's religion. We can't touch that. And they don't have to explain it better, right? We have to prove to them it's not true. And that's not a good thing. When you think of it like that, I was like, yeah, that's true. Why does religion get a pass? Really, I say this as I have a board meeting for a Bible college tomorrow because I'm on the board. Why does it get a pass? Why does it get to, jump out the side of the scientific process? Because for him, it's a theory. And it comes to the God of gaps. So something people use. The God of gaps is anytime you find a gap in science, then that's where God fits. That's God did this totally. As soon as there's anything, God did it, and that's, I don't know. It seems a little disingenuous to me, especially because we're going to talk about it in a bit. And he also says on page 152, one of the truly bad effects of religion is that it teaches us that there is virtue to be satisfied with not understanding something. Which is, I get it when you're saying, and he cites other, in the past, people saying, hey, let's not figure this out because it's going to hurt religion. So not cool. So another thing he says, tying in really close to that is, and I guess I thought this, I'm not sure that he says it, but when you looked at the death of expertise and conspiracy theorists, a lot of religious explanations kind of get pretty close to that. So here's a quote from his book, The God Delusion. Fundamentalists know that they are right because they have read the truth in a holy book, and they know in advance that nothing will budge them from their belief. The truth of the holy book is an axiom, not the end product of a process of reasoning. The book is true, and if the evidence seems to contradict it, it is the evidence that must be thrown out, not the book. So, this is, again, we'll jump straight to the quote from The Death of Expertise with Conspiracy Theorists. And it says on page 55 in The Death of Expertise, I've reviewed that, I will link it somewhere. Conspiracy theorists manipulate all tangible evidence to fit their explanation. But worse, they will also point to the absence of evidence as an even stronger confirmation. I've been thinking about this lately. How do you conduct a discussion with someone? I've talked with a lady recently about millimeter wave 5G, and her discussion was, it just feels bad. Okay, but the science doesn't say that. And there's been a few, even actually with COVID, she's like, it'll be nothing. It'll be no big deal. And this was before it was a big deal, the day before actually. And I was like, I don't know, the people that I've read that are world renowned on epidemic stuff, they say it's going to be a big deal. She's like, I just think it's not going to be a problem. I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm going to stick with the people who are experts in this, and understanding like what level you're going to have a discussion on. And unfortunately, with a lot of believers, and maybe absolutely myself included at times, hopefully not now, but at times for sure, the discussion you have around anything is like, it's at a different level, right? I'm saying, oh, I'm arguing proof, and you're saying, I'm arguing my feelings, and that's just a totally different argument, and you can't have it. You can't have a constructive argument when you're arguing from two different principles like that, at least. Another thing that I really liked it was tough that there are no Christian children. I don't say like my children are libertarians. They don't know. My oldest is 9. She has no idea. She does not have the brain developed to make this decision. So why would I say she's a Christian child? It's a tough one. Much of this book is tough for me to read, and I'm still, again, thinking about it. I don't have any conclusions at the end of this, except for if you're a Christian and you think, how dare you read this book? You need to read the book. And if you're afraid to read the book, you can read the stupid book. Like, you have to read the book. So Dawkins actually equates religion to a mind virus that he says infects children. I found that super offensive because as a parent, I think, but I'm trying to do all good for my children, and training them, saying religion is a good thing is a mind virus. Like feels offensive. And he might say that's because you've been inoculated already by religion. So not inoculated. You've been infected by religion. He wouldn't say inoculated, but infected by religion. So that's what he would say. I get it though. I absolutely get his point there that he doesn't. I get his point that there are no Christian children. My 3-year-old is not a Christian. My 3-year-old is a child of a Christian parent, is what he would say. Child of a whatever religion parent. Another thing is, I don't even think we talked about this actually. Let's jump back to science. NOMA, non-overlapping magisterial something or other, magisteria, is the idea that science holds one point and it can't speak to the spirit or the soul, and that's where religion goes. And many religious people are very quick to point out that that's true, that you have to follow this when science doesn't support religion. And as soon as it does support religion, they're like, oh, but look, it supports us. And you can't do that either. Like you can't take one or the other. You can't have both. You can't, I'm only taking this when it validates me, and I'm not looking at it when it invalidates my idea. That's not okay, really. Just not okay. So yeah, that's something that I will be watching in my own arguments, in my own discussions on faith, and how I look at faith, and how I believe, and how I talk to people about faith. Okay, so next one, Traitor, Blood, and Hell. Let's pull a quote from the God Delusion. What kind of ethical philosophy is it that condemns every child, even before it's born, to inherit the sin of a remote ancestor? And you see this in books, right? You can definitely see this in... hopefully not as much now, but you definitely see it where, like, if your parent was a criminal, you must be a criminal because you came from, bad blood, traitor's blood. You came from criminal blood, so you must be this. Like, their conduct infects you, which isn't true. Like, you are free to make your own decisions. Some of the way they brought you up may have bearing on how you act, but ultimately, like, the blood does not pass traitorness on. So, and that's what, if you follow the Bible, if you say that the Bible passes on traitor's blood all the time. That's like a child. I don't know. It feels tough. It feels tough. It's a good point. It's a hard one to reckon with. Like, we say that traitor's blood isn't true, and yet we say, but you're sinful right from the beginning. As a person of faith, that's what if I say I believe the Bible, that's what I have to say. And then one of the other good ones is he talks about the cost of saying you don't believe anymore. Right? What is the cost? And many people he knows, he talked to, say that they still go to church. They still say they have the beliefs, even though they don't, because they'd lose their marriage, because they get shunned, because they get cast out of everything. All the relationships would evaporate, which I hope isn't true. As a believer, I hope isn't true. I hope that if a friend of mine at church said, hey, I'm done with this, I would say, okay, well, are we still going biking on Friday? Not now, because, I'm locked in my house with COVID, but not that I have it, but just because we all are. And yet, I think, as I went through a thought experiment of myself saying, like, what if I told my wife I didn't want to go to church anymore? I didn't believe in it. Or I'm going to go, but I'm not going to, you got to lead all the spiritual stuff. I do feel like there would be consequences to that. Like, there would be a marked change in our relationship. And it's not like we sit and talk about our faith daily. regularly all the time at all. Not at all. We don't talk about, not that we don't talk about it at all, but it's not like the pivotal conversation we have and the only way in which we relate to each other. But I think there would be a cost to it. And that feels very cultish, right? That's what cults do. Something I'm got some more reading on long term is the difference between indoctrination and teaching. Like where do you draw the line? Where I'm teaching or I'm indoctrinating? Because I think that I wonder strongly if church is actually indoctrination, not teaching. That's where we're at. That's the first time I've said that out loud, but that's what I wonder. And so that's a kind of a long-term reading, thinking project to go on. So should you read The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins? That's my final thing. If you're a believer, you should read it. If you're worried about reading it because, about my faith, and I'm worried what it will do to my faith, then you should read it. Because if you are so worried by reading a book that your faith will be destroyed, that you'll have no faith suddenly, maybe you don't have faith already. You certainly don't have a strong handle on it, like the Bible would say you should, like many places would say you should. So you should do something about that. Yeah, I think that I've got a lot of thinking to do. I'm by no means saying I'm not going to church and anything like that, but there's a lot of thinking about on what level I will argue for faith or against faith, and how I've already noticed a language change with my children and how I'm bringing them up. And I think I already did this a lot, but it's just more formalizing. Like I want to help them learn to discern what's right, what's truth, and then they can make their own conclusions from that. That's what Dawkins would say, that we need to be teaching children to discern truth, to find truth, to validate a source, to really understand something, and then let them make their own decision, because they are simply children of Christian parents, children of religious parents at this point. That's it. Tough book. Again, a hard book. Good book to think about. Good book for me to look at and decide what I'm going to do with long term, with my faith, with my church going, with all of it. And if you like the video, you can give me a thumbs up. Actually, two. I don't know how you give me two, but you click it twice, or just click it 3 times. Click it. If you loved it, subscribe. There are more book reviews coming. There are more book reviews, more book talk coming, more tech talk coming, more stuff that's going to help you think about being a smarter person, a more well-rounded person. But don't hit the bell, because you should go read, go hang out with your kids, go do something else. I, right now, am going to start offloading footage, go have lunch, and take my kids to play soccer in the big open field beside us for a bit. Because they're not getting out a lot right now with this COVID stuff. So, have a good day.